Hey everyone. Sorry for the delay in today's session. Figured since it was a holiday weekend, we probably weren't going to have much of a live audience anyway. So here we are. So I talked about last time wanting to cover the proper way to connect to ADLS Gen 2. And so, like, if we look, for instance, at our nightly jobs, you'll see that we've got failures happening, right? So if we look at what the issue is, we can see it's this ADLS Gen 2 token issue. So the first thing we need to do under Azure Active Directory is create an app registration. So we'll just call it vdug, and then we'll leave it to this directory. We don't need a return URL, and we'll register this. Now, you'll want this client ID for later. So we'll go ahead and actually I'll show you what this configuration is going to look like. So we'll modify this utility here. Yeah, so we're going to replace all of this with this. And then, yeah, I think we can actually remove this piece too. So your client ID is going to go right here. And then the secret, I'll show you how to make next, and we'll have to actually create that ourselves. And actually, I think we want to go ahead and run dbutils.fs.unmount for default, or sorry, /mount/default. Because that's what we're removing. And then, come on. Okay, so that's unmounted. So then over here, under certificates and secrets, you'll click new client secret, have it expire never. We'll call this Databricks. Now once I click add, it's going to show my secret. So I'm going to bring that over to my other window, click add. We get that on the clipboard. And then next, you'll want to open up your command line utility. I already got it open. And then we'll do Databricks, secrets, put, and then the scope is going to be default. And then we'll have the key called service principal client secret, just like up there. And then it'll be string value, and this is where I'll paste in that secret. So I'll go ahead and move this off screen too. Okay, and so all that worked fine. So then the next step is in your Azure portal, you would go over to home, and then for your subscription, under access control, we can add a role assignment, and we want blob storage data contributor, and we'll look for VDG or maybe all caps matter. There we go, and you'll see our app. And then we can save that, and now that's a contributor. So then, back over on the Databricks side, we should be able to go in here, and then this should be dbutils, delete the quotes, dbutils dot secrets dot get, and then I think it's going to be scope equals default, and then key is equal to this bit that we copied earlier. Okay, and then let's make sure actually on this before I run that. Oh, and it needs an end quote too. Let's make sure. Okay, so that seems fine. So we can run this. So our client ID is in there. And I'll go ahead and delete this. Just get it down to the base stuff. So then ebffs configs equals configs. One second. I don't know why it doesn't like that. Let's do it like this. Okay, let me double check there's not a piece of that configuration I was missing. It's another one of those things that you only do every once in a while, hopefully. I'm going to copy this again. So our application ID, let's go back and get that. And then we'll replace this with default. And then this we called. And the file system name was default. Yeah, and then I believe it's Mixer Demo Lake. And then this we can call default. Okay, let's try that. And while that's running, just in case, I thought of one more place we can grant permissions, which is on the lake itself. Now, it should be fine at the subscription level. Like, I think if we looked at role assignments, we should see VDUG inherited that. So that should be all we need. But I'm going to set it permanently just in case. Yeah, I don't know what's taking us so long. I'm going to rerun it. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. So the directory ID, I think we were recycling. So let's grab that new directory ID. Now that should be the same since it's the same tenant, but that could have been an issue. Let's see. There we go. I think it likes us now. There we go. And so if we were to run this and have it run base path, that should be defined. Oh, it's underscore. Okay, whatever. I'm going to keep making that same mistake, so get used to it. Okay, there we go. So we can see our query raw, etc. So now let's go back and test these out. So over here, under stages, I'm going to open up silver and bronze. So for bronze, I did add one little block here. It's pretty basic. It just is a try catch so it can go ahead and move on to the next stage. I got ahead of myself and didn't stream that piece, but it's all on GitHub. There we go. So the one other thing I want to add to bronze is we're going to do a spark.write. And then we'll do the format of delta. And then the path is going to be I think actually we want a mode of overwrite. And we'll have this be, what do we call it? Untapped raw delta path. Let me look at silver real quick too to make sure of our format on that. Or actually, it's not even going to be in there. It's going to be in the utility. And we're not going to register this with Spark. I don't think we're going to be querying from it. Okay, so it's lowercase overwrite. Or when I say register with Spark, I mean Spark SQL. Oh, it's, yeah, that's what we need to do. Okay, duh. Okay, so we'll do, because we're not providing any data there. So we'll do df equals spark.read, and we'll provide it the untapped raw path. And we'll do read.json. Untapped raw path. There we go. Oh, it's that save. Of course. This is why documentation exists. Incompatible format. So we'll do because this has stuff under it. So let's do slash delta. Okay, I think it'll be happy with this one. Cool. And then I actually take back what I said earlier. We will have to register it because that's how we pull it back in as a table. Actually, I guess we could just do a df.read. Yeah, we'll just do that. Okay. So up here, so first off, this one's failing. I don't think I showed you, but it's failing for the same reasons. I couldn't get the token. So we'll register our paths. And we'll include the new untapped raw delta path because we're going to need that. We don't need raw anymore. Okay, and then we'll run these, and then we'll have df equals spark.read.delta instead. I think we can do let me look at something real quick. Yeah, it's a read stream instead. That's what it is. Okay, so we'll do read stream, and then it's format of Delta. That's what it is. I had played around with this in another notebook. I just had forgotten the format. And then for the path, we do a load. So now we have our streaming data frame. Now, so for this, we should be able to run something like this, for instance, and it's just going to perform the transformations on the stream. And then here we can do a write stream. And then all that should be handled the same. And then I think we want to provide a trigger of once, which I think is the default, but it's worth having in there. One second, let me look at that real quick. So in structured streaming, the idea of an overwrite doesn't really make sense, but we want to make sure that we only write new data. So we might need to create some sort of upsert table. So we could do this pretty easily, I think. Let's see. So we could do a couple things. We could set up a watermark, or we do event time, but this isn't a true stream. So I think instead what we'll do, so like for instance, if we look at DF badges, or DF badges flat rather, it has a check-in ID. And so what we could do is just do a join essentially to get the upsert table. So we could do, like if we display DF badges flat, you'll see. will show up here in a second. Yeah, so we could do that. And then if we show, like if we display spark.table, we'll see we also have, we should have a check-in ID. We have a created at. That's weird. Okay, so if we do not join, yeah, that's a little odd. That should be in there. Let's revert this. I want to see what I had before. So we're saving df badges flat to a table called badges, and then we're registering at badges. So that should have check-in ID. So we'll change this back to yeah, so that has check-in ID. Let's look at episode 5. Okay, so yeah, I don't think, yeah, that's not right. That's the problem. Okay. So we'll fix this once more. Okay. So then over here, we should be able to do this now. But that table doesn't exist. Here, let's let it rerun. And then I should also, I guess, do, or over here, I'll do, let's bring in parameters first. And then over here, okay. So that has cleaned out the delta table. Okay, so now it likes that. And now if we bring this in, oh, and we'll do this too, I suppose, because we're not using our function. I'll have to clean that up at some point. Oh well. Okay, so now we see that we have check-in ID as we expected. So this has 9 fields, so does this. So what that means that we can do is we could do a left anti-join. So right here, and let's convert this back to streaming before we forget. What we can do is we can say df badges upsert is equal to df badges flat. We'll do join, and that'll be on spark.read of badges. And then when we say under type, we should just be able to say, well, so we'll give our join condition and then the type. So we'll have we'll want to have this in, or actually no, since trying to think. Since we'll just do the alias, since the names match, we don't have to fully specify like a dot check-in ID. This should be fine. And then here we can say left anti. Okay, and then let's see, maybe it wants that. Oh, not spark.read, spark.table. Okay, and then that's going to be empty, probably, but that's fine. And we can change this to be df badges upsert dot write stream format, and we'll change this to be trigger once. Maybe we don't even need the trigger. Just gotta check my formatting real quick. So it's that start instead. So we want to give path as an option. And then, yeah, and then we can do that, and then we can do start. Okay, and we'll provide a checkpoint. So, oh, option, option, and then checkpoint location. And what we'll do is we'll do untapped base query path plus let's see. And we'll change our output mode to be complete, I think, for now too. Since we did the upsert. If we had a proper streaming system that had reliable timestamps, we could probably just have the append happen through that. But we'll see. I don't think the semantics of that would work as well for this application. So we'll do output complete. And then let me make sure that I have what I need to trigger the end of the stream. Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to do earlier. It's just dot trigger. Oh, it's output mode. And then this one's keyword arguments, so I can do where we do our imports from up here. I can do from PySpark. It should be PySpark.sql.streaming, I think. Import trigger. Maybe it's trigger. Let's see, 1 second. Gotcha. Okay. We'll just leave the output mode as is. It's fine. Okay, there we go. So it's the trigger once that we needed here. And I suppose we can put this above this just in case. Well, no, really, it was in the right place, I suppose. Because we could stream into that table location and then create the table if it doesn't exist. So that's all good. Okay, and then so all that works fine. And then here we'll want to update our create and register to do the update or upsert logic instead. Come on. That really drives me crazy sometimes. Okay. So over here, we gotta essentially replace this with what we did for badges. So we'll want df dot write stream format delta path this will be format of name okay, so that's all good. I guess I'll actually just make this path to behave the same, and then we can delete this, and then this doesn't really make sense as a parameter anymore, the overwrite, since we're doing streaming. And then we will steal the upsert logic that we made. And actually we can leave in overwrite as true just for the sake of not having to rewrite any code that is already using overwrite. Someday we'll put in a deprecation warning, but oh well. Okay, so write stream. Okay, so this looks good, and then this needs to be df join, and this is going to be a Spark table called name, and it'll be on check-in, it'll be a left anti, that'll be great. So then okay. So under beer. Let's look at this. So this is where we might need to use our fact table. So we'll do our upsert logic outside of this. We'll just make this, which is probably what we should do anyway. Separation of concerns and all. Yeah, I don't know why even initially was trying to do it all at once. I suppose that's why we iterate, right? Okay, so down here, I'll create my upsert table. So I want to do df. So I want to do that join, but first I need to look at what's in VirFax. So it should be so we probably need one for beer too. I'm starting to think. Unless, let's see if within the primary fact table, maybe that's how we didn't need to do it. So we can get beer ID and a check-in ID from here. Okay, so that'll work. So we'll get df beer check-in, and that's going to be equal to df beer flattened and cleaned. And we'll do a join on beer. Or sorry, we need to do a join on spark.table of facts. And then we'll do BID. And then okay, and then we can do our little upsert. Oh, that's the problem. Okay, so that needs to be on this. There we go. And then we have okay, that should be happy now. So we're going to be joining badges flat to okay, let's do this. So that's beer flattened. With a check-in ID, and then let's do df beer with the check-in, and that's going to be this. And it's going to be joined with spark.table of beer on beer ID. Okay. And then the upsert table is going to be df beer flattened check-in joined with df beer with the check-in on check-in ID, and it's going to be a left anti. There we go. Okay. So that's the idea. I just wanted to show how we'd connect this and how we'd start streaming between Delta tables. I'll go ahead and do the rest of these either next Saturday, or if I'm so inclined to do a midweek stream, maybe then. But that's the idea, and hopefully you can see how this sort of forces us to change our perspective on how we're going to do the stream and how we're going to write some of that logic as far as doing upserts and the rest.